Welcome back. It's Saturday. We have some news for the San Francisco Giants coaching staff. Joining Bob Melvin's staff is going to be Matt Williams, Ryan Christenson, and Pat Burrell. Also being retained by the Giants is going to be JP Martinez, Alyssa Nacken, Mark Hallberg, Tarya Umatsu, and Justin Veely and Pedro Guerrero are going to remain as assistant hitting coaches. Mark Hallberg is going to go move over to first base coach to make room for Matt Williams back on the hot corner. Pat Burrell is going to join as a hitting coach, and Ryan Christensen is going to be the bench coach. Still no word yet regarding Kai Correa and his status, but these are the people that have been announced so far. There's still some rumors out there as far as pitching coach goes. Andrew Bailey is said to be possibly going east. I've heard the Red Sox is a rumor. We'll see where he ends up. There's also, I've heard both Ryan Vogelsong and Brian Price rumored to be the possible replacements for Andrew Bailey if he does move over to the East Coast somewhere or doesn't return to the Giants. So kind of what does this mean? Well, we're going to have a much more experienced staff going into 2024 than we've had the last few years. Especially if they end up with Brian Price as well. You're going to be having three guys with major league managing experience on the team or on the coaching staff with obviously Melvin, and then you'll have Brian Price and Matt Williams. If Ryan Christensen's been the bench coach or associate manager for Bob Melvin for years now, dating back to Oakland and then the last 2 years in San Diego. Matt Williams obviously managed the Nationals for 2 years. So this is going to be a huge shift in the culture of the team. I mean, that's what you're seeing is they are getting guys that are former Giants as well as guys that have a ton of experience. So I love the direction the team is going with this. I think it's going to be good overall. The one thing with the coaching staff is the players are still going to need to play at the end of the day. But I do like the people that they're putting in place. And with the previous staff, one thing that it felt like was, I never think that a coaching staff is going to be a huge draw for a player. Obviously they're going to want to play somewhere with good coaches and things like that. But money talks at the end of the day. A lot of these free agents aren't going to come line up at the door to sign with the San Francisco Giants because, Bob Melvin's their manager, or, they're not just kicking down the door because they want to go play for Matt Williams or something like that, or Pat Burrell. But it also can be a huge deterrent if there's guys that people don't want to play for necessarily. And I felt like with the previous coaching staff is it almost was a deterrent. I think nobody wants to come into a situation where they don't know if they're going to play every day. They don't know if they're going to get platooned or if they're going to be used as a bulk guy out of the pen, if they've been a starter their whole career. These guys have reputations around the league. And, one thing with Kapler that came out was like that he was kind of an awkward person in these meetings. So I don't think that the new staff is going to be a huge draw, but I do think that they're not going to be a deterrent to incoming free agents, which is a positive. And I do think that this is going to do a ton for the clubhouse culture. You're going to have a guy like Pat Burrell, for instance, who's very highly respected. He's, in his time with the Giants, he might not be the most experienced guy. I don't know if he's going to make a good hitting coach. I know he worked with guys like Luis Matos a couple of years ago in San Jose, and it seems like a lot of their guys do well in San Jose, where he was the hitting coach for a couple of years. So, I don't know if it'll translate to the major leagues, but I think as far as culture goes, it's going to go a long way. I mean, you're talking about a guy that when he showed up in 2010, I mean, yes, Buster Posey comes in and is rookie of the year. I mean, that's a huge step in 2010, but Pat Burrell got a ton of credit for changing the culture of the clubhouse in 2010 when he arrived and helped turning that into a championship clubhouse. So I do like what they're doing with the experience. And, bringing a lot of these people in. I like Hallberg. I'm glad they're keeping him. I like that they're just going to move him over to first base. I'm assuming that's going to mean Anton Richardson is going to be somewhere else and not back with the club. They also announced that Dustin Lind won't be returning as an assistant hitting coach. So, it's hard because with how bad the offense was the last 2 years, I mean, I'd love to. I think a lot of us would have liked Justin Veely and the whole the whole hitting coach staff to be gone. But at the end of the day, like the players are going to need to perform, and the front office needs to put good hitters on the team. So, how much blame goes to them and how much credit should we give Donnie Ecker when he was here? I mean, I love Donnie Ecker. I would have loved to have Donnie Ecker back in some capacity, but I think there's no way he's leaving Texas at this point. It almost feels like him and Venable are kind of waiting to see when Bochy retires to see if they get that job as the manager there. So, I don't know if it's hard to say because, Justin Veely and Guerrero, they were both hitting coaches with Ecker under Ecker's tutelage in 2020 and 2021 when the team took huge steps offensively. So it's hard to tell there. I don't know how bad or good those guys are as coaches. I do like though that they're bringing Pat Burrell in. I just think overall he brings a lot to the table. So we'll see, what other news comes out there. If they do come in, if they do get a guy like Brian Price, he's been pretty highly regarded as a pitching coach for years. He was over there in San Diego this past year. I think he was actually there the last couple of years, but he's, been around Bob Melvin a couple different times now, going back to Seattle as well. So he would bring, again, another guy with managerial experience. I mean, this is going to be I feel like one of the more experienced coaching staffs in baseball, which is a total 180 from the last couple of years where they've been seemingly one of the most inexperienced coaching staff. They had one of the largest coaching staffs with somehow the least amount of experience in the majors. So we'll keep an eye on this and see what other developments come with that. And, hopefully we'll know more in the next couple days on the rest of the coaching staff. But slow news day so far, not a lot as far as free agency goes and trade rumors. There hasn't really been much out there yet. Hopefully we get some soon, and I'll be posting more videos as we get more. Peace.